Type again.
18 minutes हो गए।
Good morning. Today we are going to talk about the last topic of the conjunctiva, and then I will start the disease of the sclera today only. OSSN was first described by Hurst and Lee in 1995 as umbrella term that denotes spectrum of neoplasia originating from the squamous epithelium, ranging from dysplasia, carcinoma in situ, and invasive squamous cell carcinoma. So OSSN includes all the three: severe dysplasia, CIN, that is carcinoma in situ, and invasive squamous cell carcinoma. So etiopathogenesis of OSSN. Again, it is exposure to ultraviolet rays causes mutation of P53 tumor suppressor gene, leading to neoplasia of the conjunctiva. And it is commonly seen in immunocompromised status, HIV infection. In HIV infection, the patient will develop different types of malignancies. You might have studied in microbiology the malignancies which are common in African population in HIV positive patient are Burkitt's lymphoma and Kaposi sarcoma. These are the two malignancies which are commonly seen among African population. Whereas in Indian population, the malignancy which is seen with HIV positivity is OSSN, ocular surface squamous neoplasia, and lymphomas, Hodgkin's and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And the third etiopathogenesis is human papillomavirus infection type 16 and 18 are said to cause neoplasia, whether of the conjunctiva or cervix. Other factors are male preponderance will be there, old age, fair skin, and xeroderma pigmentosa is a skin condition which they are prone to develop squamous cell carcinoma of the conjunctiva. So, what are the clinical features of OSSN? It will present as a cauliflower-like growth at the limbus or papillomatous excrescences at the limbus, encroaching on the cornea. Local extension can occur in 10 to 20%. Intraocular and intraorbital extension is also noted, and local spread through lymphatics will occur to preauricular lymph node, submandibular lymph node. So the different types of OSSN. A picture shows the cauliflower growth, a nodular type of OSSN. The picture B shows you the papillomatous excrescences, and picture C shows the leukoplakic variety. Okay. Slide is not moving. Slide is not changing. So this is a closer view of how a papillomatous variety looks like. You can see the blood vessels, papillary-like excrescences with blood vessels in the papilloma. And the very important thing about OSSN is whenever you see any growth on the conjunctiva, other growth which we have talked about is the pterygium and pinguicula. They are benign growths. Whenever you see a malignant growth, you will see a enlarged sentinel vessel will be there around. If you look for the vessel, it will be enlarged. As you are seeing here in this picture, a thick episcleral vessel which is feeding the tumor. So again, this is a nodular type of variety on the nasal limbus, leukoplakic variety. gelatinous variety. So distant metastasis to bone and lung is also reported in late stages. So whenever you do histopathological examination, it will be either seen as a dysplasia or carcinoma in situ or invasive carcinoma. This is the typical dysplastic picture of the conjunctiva, wherein you can see the increase in the size of nucleus. The nuclear cytoplasmic ratio will get altered. The cytoplasm will get scanty and nucleus will become bigger in dysplasia. In carcinoma in situ, the size of the nucleus increases, and in few cells you will start seeing the mitotic figures. A single cell will contain two nuclei, as you are clearly seeing in this picture. Frank squamous cell carcinoma, you will see the nests of the cells breaking the basement membranes and entering into the stroma. So whenever you see a case of OSSN, how are you going to confirm your diagnosis? So there are 3 or 4 investigations you can do. One is impression cytology, second is gonioscopy, third is anti-segment OCT, and fourth is CT scan. So impression cytology will give you the picture whether it is a benign growth or a malignant growth. So after anesthetizing a conjunctiva, you have to take a filter paper and stick it to the growth and then put the filter paper on the slide and stain it and look for the cells. So this is the typical impression cytology picture. Here you can see a big nuclei, and in few cells you are seeing mitotic figures also. 2 nuclei you are seeing. So this shows that the patient is having malignancy. The aim of gonioscopy, the main aim of gonioscopy is to study the angle of antechamber in glaucomas, to differentiate whether the glaucoma is open angle glaucoma or angle closure glaucoma. Here in OSSN, as the growth is nearer to the limbus, we want to do gonioscopy to see whether there is any infiltration of the growth into the angle. By doing gonioscopy, you are ruling out whether the growth has infiltrated into the angle and sclera. Anti-segment OCT again is a non-invasive method where you can see whether there is interface or gap between the conjunctiva and the sclera is maintained or not. If it is not maintained, then you can be sure that the case is the growth has infiltrated into the sclera. And CT scan also tells you the same thing, whether the growth is limited to the conjunctiva or whether it has infiltrated into the sclera. So the management differs. If the growth is limited to the conjunctiva, the management is different. If the growth has already infiltrated into the globe, angle, or sclera, the management will be different. So if the growth is limited to the conjunctiva, what you are supposed to do is you have to excise the growth with 4 millimeter normal margin of the conjunctiva. You anesthetize the globe by putting proparacaine grafts and then infiltrate 2% xylocaine beneath the conjunctiva, subconjunctivally, and then you measure 4 millimeter normal conjunctiva around the growth and excise the normal conjunctiva along with the growth. So after excising the growth, then to the scleral bed you have to apply cryo. Cryo is a special type of instrument in which there will be probe will be there. So nitrous oxide will pass into that probe. So whenever nitrous oxide gas is passed from a bigger diameter to the smaller diameter, there will be drop in temperature will be there and ice will form at the tip of the probe. And that ice you will touch the sclera and freeze the sclera. for 30 seconds and then leave it. So freezing and thawing, freeze, thaw and freeze, 3 times you have to do. It is thawing which is very important. The thawing will kill the cancerous cells which are present on the scleral bed. Then this 1 week after post-operatively, again you have to repeat the impression cytology. In the impression cytology, if you see malignant cells, then you have to add adjuvant chemotherapy. So adjuvant chemotherapy is mitomycin C is antimitotic drug. You have to make drops out of this. 2 milligram vial will be available, and that you have to dissolve in 10 cc of distilled water. From this, you have to take 1 cc and again dilute it with 10 cc of water and take 1.1 ml and add it to the 10 ml of lubricant drops. So this will make 0.4% of mitomycin C drops, and you should ask the patient to instill the drops 4 times daily, 4 days a week, and you have to give 3 days gap. So today is Wednesday. If the patient starts drops today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, these 4 days he will be using 4 times daily, and then Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the gap will be given. The antimitotic drug, if you give continuously, the normal tissue will also die. So sclera will start melting. So you have to ask the patient to instill the drops 4 times daily for 4 days a week. This constitutes 1 cycle. Like this, the patient is supposed to use the drop for 4 cycles. So after completion of the 4 cycles, again you have to repeat the impression cytology, and if there is no malignant cells in impression cytology, then you can closely follow the patient. Other than adjuvant chemotherapy, you can other drugs which you can use is interferon alpha 2b, subconjunctivally you can give, or in the form of drops you can give. And 5-fluorouracil also has been tried as adjuvant chemotherapy. And other modality is giving beta radiation by strontium 90. So you will be implanting the plate, a strontium plate, onto the bare sclera where you have removed the growth, and keep it like that. And patient will roam around, and after 1 week you remove that. So the bed of the sclera will be receiving beta radiation. Similarly, extensional radiation can also be given by ruthenium 106. So this is the typical management which you are supposed to do if the growth is limited to the conjunctiva. It has not infiltrated the sclera or angle. So if gonioscopy or anti-segment OCT or CT scan shows infiltration with the sclera and angle of the anterior chamber of the eye, then you have to enucleate the eye. You have to remove the whole eye. Even though the vision will be good, you have to convince the patient that it is a life-threatening disorder. If you don't remove the eye, he will die. So if the growth infiltrates into the angle of the anterior chamber or infiltrated into the sclera, which is shown by gonioscopy, anti-segment OCT, or CT scan, then you have to plan for enucleation, removal of the whole eyeball. And post-operatively, you have to give adjuvant radiation by ruthenium 106 to the orbit and submandibular and cervical lymph nodes to deal with the microscopic spread. Late stages. When patient comes in late stage, when the conjunctival growth has infiltrated into the extraocular muscles, then the orbital invasion has occurred. So this is shown by limitation of the extraocular movement. When you see the conjunctival growth and patient is not able to move the eyeball properly, clinically it shows that the growth has involved the orbit. So just enucleation doesn't suffice in these cases. You have to do exenteration of the orbital content. This is the second destructive operation in ophthalmology. So you have to remove the whole contents of the orbit. And post-operatively, you have to give radiation to the empty socket. This ends the ocular surface squamous neoplasia. Then we'll go to the next. Okay, right?